You are a competent but unremarkable narcotics detective in a major city. Not a legend. Not a headline. Just reliable. You work mid-level cases. Surveillance bans that smell like stale coffee. Wiretap transcripts that read like bad improv. Controlled buys in parking lots with flickering lights. You write reports no one reads twice. Sometimes not even once. You're patient. Observant. Good at mirroring speech patterns. Good at nodding like you agree with things you absolutely do not agree with. You disappear into rooms easily. It's a talent. Also a personality trait, apparently. Then the offer comes. Deep cover. A regional trafficking network moving fentanyl and illegal firearms through port warehouses and nightclub fronts. Serious volume. Serious money. Serious risk. The job is temporary. 6 months, maybe 9. You volunteer before the sentence fully lands. You tell yourself it's career advancement. Specialized experience. A clean line toward promotion. You imagine commendations. Maybe a better desk. One without gum underneath it. You believe you understand the line between role and self. You believe you can step into the character and step back out, like taking off the jacket. That still fits. You enter under a constructed identity. Small-time debt collector. Short temper. Prior assault charge. No digital footprint before age 22. A man who exists mostly in stories and poorly scanned paperwork. You memorize your own fake birthday. You practice your new signature. You answer to a different name without flinching. You begin earning trust. You show up on time. You don't ask unnecessary questions. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny. Then comes the first compromise. You're handed keys to an SUV. Tinted windows. Heavy suspension. You don't check the trunk. You don't need to. Your handler's voice is calm in your ear later that night. Let it move. The larger case matters more. You nod, even though he can't see you. You rationalize. Bigger targets require patience. One shipment now means dismantling the network later. You are thinking long-term, strategic, mature. You drive. Every red light feels extended. Every patrol car looks curious. No stop. No intervention. The delivery succeeds. Money changes hands. You get a clap on the shoulder. Reliable, they say. You cross the first line. Nothing explodes. No sirens. No internal alarm bell loud enough to stop you. You tell yourself it was controlled. You do not mention that your hands were shaking, just slightly. You facilitate introductions. You know a guy who knows a guy. Now you are the guy. You move small amounts of cash through Shell auto shops, brake jobs that never happen, oil changes for cars that don't exist, spreadsheets that would make an accountant cry. You sit in on conversations about distribution zones, which neighborhoods are hot, which corners are loyal, which crews need reminding. You nod like you're discussing restaurant franchises. You provide selective intelligence to your unit. Times, locations, just enough to justify your existence. Not everything. You hold back names. You delay details. You tell yourself it protects the operation. It protects you too. You witness violence. Quick, efficient, businesslike. You are told not to intervene unless your life is at risk. You measure risk carefully. You internalize the logic. Bigger case. Longer play. Future indictments. You're inside now. They call you when decisions are made. They ask your opinion. They trust your silence. The arrest will come later. You repeat that often. Later is strategic. Later is necessary. You tell yourself later is still coming. You just don't define when. You learn how criminal logistics actually function. It's less chaos. More scheduling. Shipping manifests are altered at port terminals. One line changed. One code adjusted. A container of recycled plastics hums slightly louder than plastic should. No one looks twice. Containers move through the port like obedient cattle. Stamped. Logged. Forgotten. Stolen vehicles are revined in secondary counties. New plates. New paperwork. Fresh identities for cars that have seen things. Cryptocurrency wallets handle mid-tier transfers. Funds hop through 3 exchanges, cold storage, then cash out through a cousin's cousin who owns a vape shop. It's almost elegant. You begin advising quietly. Suggest safer routes. Avoid way stations after midnight. Shift deliveries to Tuesdays. Fewer task forces on Tuesdays. Recommend less visible cash couriers. No more flashy sneakers. No more posting photos with stacks in the background. Subtlety is underrated. They listen. Your handler approves. The deeper you go, the better the case. You tell him everything is controlled. He tells you to maintain position. You become indispensable to both sides. Criminal leadership calls you before making moves. Your unit waits for your green light before filing warrants. Arrests stall because your intelligence is not yet actionable. You hear that phrase often. It means wait. It means politics. It means paperwork is more dangerous than fentanyl. You understand how jurisdictional friction protects crime. Federal priorities shift quarterly. State prosecutors want clean cases, no gray areas, no messy entrapment arguments. Budget cycles determine urgency. If funding renews in October, operations survive until September. You learn how the machine truly works. Not good versus bad, just incentives, timing, liability. You thought you were infiltrating a criminal enterprise. You were also studying an institution. Both run on paperwork. Both prefer plausible deniability. You navigate between them. Confident, useful, certain you are still steering. Mostly, you control information flow. You decide what gets reported and what gets delayed and what gets lost in transcription. You decide which shipments get intercepted, which trucks get lights in the rearview mirror, which containers glide through the port untouched. You call it strategic targeting. Other people call it luck. You redirect enforcement toward rival crews to build your cover. Anonymous tips. Carefully timed patrol suggestions. A nudge here, a leak there. Competition disappears. Your credibility grows. Your supervisors praise your embedded position. Best asset we've had in years. They say it quietly, as if compliments are classified. Criminal leadership relies on you. They ask your opinion before expanding territory. They check with you before settling disputes. You are consulted like a board member. With worse catering, you earn percentages on deals to maintain credibility. Small cuts at first, then larger ones. Your income doubles unofficially. You track it separately. Encrypted spreadsheet. Password you pretend is clever. You tell yourself it's evidence. Temporary. Controlled. Document somewhere in your head. You feel untouchable. Too valuable to burn. Too embedded to replace. You believe you are steering the chaos. You forget that chaos rarely needs steering. A federal task force steps in. Not to arrest you. To formalize you. You're called into a conference room with better chairs and worse coffee. 3 new faces. 1 laminated badge placed carefully on the table. You reassign quietly under a joint operations umbrella. No press release. No ceremony. Just new paperwork with more acronyms. Immunity assurances are discussed. Carefully worded. Narrowly defined. Expanded authority follows. You can authorize controlled movements. Delay enforcement actions. Coordinate across districts. Classified budget allocations appear. Unmarked funds. Operational expenses. Receipts optional. Morality negotiable. You're instructed to allow certain shipments to proceed due to strategic priorities. The phrase repeats often. Strategic. Some targets are politically sensitive. Some financiers are connected. Some investigations would create unnecessary turbulence. You nod. You understand turbulence. You've created some. You realize the case is not about drugs anymore. It is about leverage. Who owes who? Who can be pressured? Who must remain untouched? You are now protected. Layers above you. Signatures shielding you. Meetings where your name is spoken carefully. You are also owned. Your discretion is no longer yours. Your usefulness is measured. You used to balance 2 worlds. Now a third one holds the leash. Gently. Professionally. You sleep in short bursts. 90 minutes. Sometimes less. Dreams feel like briefings. You keep 2 phones active at all times. One for the crew. One for the task force. Both buzzing at inconvenient moments. You charge them in separate rooms. Just in case paranoia has Wi-Fi, you suspect internal affairs is monitoring you. Audit requests increase. Expense forms get questioned. Someone asks about a dinner from 8 months ago. You suspect the criminals are testing you. They change meeting locations last minute. They float false information to see where it leaks. You pretend not to notice. You drink to level your nerves. Not drunk. Just calibrated. Relationships erode. You cancel plans. Miss birthdays. Answer simple questions with rehearsed answers. You forget which version of your story you told to which person. In one version, you're working late. In another, you're out of town. In the third, you're someone else entirely. A mid-level distributor is arrested unexpectedly. Not your call. Not your timing. He looks at you differently in court. Not accusing. Not friendly. Just measuring. You begin to wonder whether you are collecting evidence or manufacturing justification. Reports feel selective. Memories feel edited. You are trusted by everyone. Criminals confide in you. Supervisors defend you. Task force relies on you. You trust no one. Not even the version of yourself that started this. An election changes leadership, new slogans, new priorities. Old operations suddenly look expensive. Task force funding shifts. Budgets tighten. Commitments become legacy decisions. A journalist uncovers internal memos. Controlled shipments. Authorized delays. Language that sounded strategic in meetings now reads reckless in print. Public outrage follows. Panels, hashtags, serious people demanding accountability. You were suspended pending investigation, badge surrendered, weapon logged, access card deactivated with a soft, unimpressive beep. The federal task force distances itself. Statements are issued, carefully phrased. You are referred to as a local operative. Supervisors deny authorizing specific operations. They do not recall certain conversations. Memories become selective. Your immunity agreement is narrowly interpreted, very narrowly. You are charged with conspiracy and obstruction. The criminals receive reduced sentences in exchange for testimony. They describe you as ambitious, overzealous, creative. You become the headline, undercover cop gone rogue. It fits neatly above the fold. In court, you are described as compromised, corrupted, rogue. No one says useful. The department survives. Policies are updated. Oversight committees expand. Training modules are revised. The task force restructures. A new undercover officer is announced 6 months later. Fresh face, clean record, confident smile. You understand something final. You were never steering the machine. You were a component inside it, replaceable, explainable, containable. The system absorbs the scandal. It always does. The machine keeps running.